Rex, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for making some time to be here this afternoon.
Jamie, absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me on your show.
I know you're a bit of you're in the process of launching a second podcast. You're an experienced podcaster. You know how it all rolls. So I'm glad that you're here. And I'm really excited to go through this episode. For me personally, I've got a few things that I want to touch on from a legal side. But then you mentioned a little bit about, your personal journey just before we hit live, around the health and wellness. So I want to see how that ties into work for you, how you get that balance and harmony in life to really do what it is that you're doing. Another question I have is, how did you build such an incredible social following as well? So that's
I don't know if I have that, but working on it.
Working on it. You've done it. You've got a great job. So, but hey, first thing that we do, which is stock standard here on the podcast, is rapid fire. Quick questions, quick answers. There's about 15 of them.
15. All right. 15. Nervous. Let's do it.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Favorite song right now?
Right now? Oh, I'm still old school. So anything Swedish House Mafia gets me out of bed.
Yeah.
And they've just started launching the reunion stuff. So they've got like 5 new songs out at the moment.
I like it. That's not really old school. What that, like 5, 8 years?
Yeah. 8 years was their last reunion, like their last show before they split up, but they've kind of just got back together.
I like that. Like I think last year they did the Friends reunion. I think it gets more attention than everything else.
True. It's true.
It's a marketing ploy. I like that. What's your favorite movie?
Guy Ritchie movies. Anything Guy Ritchie.
Anything
Guy Ritchie in it. I'm a big fan. It's always twisted, a lot of humor. Yeah.
True. Favorite book?
I'm a lawyer, so don't judge me, but John Grisham books I seem to get into. They make some good movies out of them too now.
Is he like a fellow lawyer? Is that fiction? Or
he's written the firm, like for a number of the Hollywood movies about lawyer movies, based on books he's written.
Ah, there you go. Okay, interesting. What's your favorite color?
Blue.
What's your go-to?
Can't tell by my shirt.
True, it's striped, absolutely. What's your go-to meal?
At the moment, fish or steaks, meats, proteins.
If it was non-diet related, you could just eat whatever you wanted. What would be?
I wish that was the case. Pizza.
Pizza. I like
Pizza.
it. Favorite TV show?
Entourage.
Yes. How good is that show? Not many people say that. I think I've only had that answer like once on like the nearly 80 episodes. I like
Not interviewing the right people. That's what it is.
True. I've got to find more Entourage people. I like it. First job?
Worked in the gym.
Worked in the gym. Who was your biggest celebrity or sporting idol growing up?
Shaquille O'Neal, because he's the biggest. Or Arnold.
Arnie, yeah, everyone loved Arnie and Pumping Iron. How good's Shaq doing now? Like, he's everywhere.
Shaq is still good, yeah. He's coming to Australia this year, apparently.
Yeah, I heard that. But like, he's on every TV commercial. He's part of like every brand. He's a very smart man.
And he's not the most attractive person.
Oh, definitely not. He's definitely got the name. It's just the name. Yeah. Shaq. I like it.
Like Jamie.
Totally. Just equally as, I think, on the same level, Jamie and Shaq. Absolutely.
Yeah.
What's your pet hate?
People who talk down to people. We're all equal. I don't like people that, because whatever reason they think they're better.
And I'm only assuming you might see that a fair bit.
All the time.
In your field of work. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Are you more
short
of a
man syndrome?
Yeah, I think it's an Australian thing. It's almost like that whole, tall poppy syndrome, where it's like, do good, but not amazingly well,
Yeah, or the ones that do good and they feel like they can go to a coffee shop and talk down to a waitress or a waiter. Well, that waitress or waiter could be going for university. It's going to be as equally as good or whatever.
Exactly. Well, you don't know. You don't even know who that. They might be a multi-millionaire who's just like, I want to work and serve some coffee.
Yeah.
I like it.
But yeah.
Book or audiobook?
I like to say book, but I only read when I'm away on holidays, which unfortunately is never often enough. So audiobooks.
Especially these last 2 years, definitely no holidays, that's for sure. Are you more of a summer or winter?
Summer. The vibe in summer. Everyone's out and about.
The smiles, totally.
Yeah. I like snowboarding and winter sports. I don't mind winter, but summer just got a different vibe.
Totally. The energy in the air is just 10 times better. What is something that you haven't done that you really want to do?
No, I set myself challenges, which we were talking about earlier, every year. So something I haven't done, I try to find it to challenge myself to do it. So Yeah, don't know this. Well, at the moment, I'm doing this bodybuilding thing that I
Totally.
talked about.
What's something like like something that you like one day, like if all the stars align, I'd love to do that.
Nothing, honest. If I have anything like that in my mind, I make those stars try to align, and that's my goal.
Yeah, you make it happen. I like it. I like that attitude. I like it. Sum up your mindset in one word.
Growing.
Proudest moment personally and proudest moment professionally.
Personally, I don't want to sound cliche. My daughter. Anything my daughter does is amazing. She's only 4, but still has been wrapped around her fingers. And professionally, I've been fortunate enough to do a lot of stuff in my professional life, but my proudest moments is when I've seen someone that, like one of my junior lawyers who I've trained, become something, or even go on and leave me. So I've had 6 lawyers leave me and set up their own law firms. And that for me, not because I want them to leave me, but when I see growth within my teams, it's very rewarding.
Yeah, definitely. And that mindset itself there, from like a leader as you, to give your team the confidence is never see that. You do.
Leader. I'll probably make it look like if this idiot can do it, I can do it.
No. Hey, you're doing something right. For 6 of your team members to have the confidence to, one, build the skills while working with you, then secondly, go and do it themselves. They're obviously doing something right. And
I still try to help them. I still catch up with them, give them like little goals of some of them.
Totally. Like you say, you never know what the future holds. And yeah, totally. Tell us something that no one knows about you.
No one knows about me. I went out on my own and set up my own firm based on Entourage and Ari Gold. True story. I've still got to sign Ari Gold in my office. Ari Gold photo.
If I know it said that it's based on a true character, like I don't know if it's that extreme.
But Ari Emanuel is the guy that bought the UFC. He's got his own. It's based on a true character called Ari Emanuel.
Okay, but is he that extreme as Ari Gold?
He is. Yeah, if you see stuff about him, he's pretty extreme.
It's funny, you can't, like the actor that plays Ari Gold, I can't watch him in any other. He's done a few other movies, but you just look at him and like, that's not Ari Gold. Like, what are you doing, man? That's what are you doing? Where's your suit? Like, it doesn't make sense.
And his confidence and arrogance.
100%. Yeah. There was one movie I watched and I was like, what is going on? I can't watch this movie at all anymore.
Yeah.
Third last question. If you could choose to have lunch with any one person in the world, you got a 2-hour time limit. If they could be passed away or alive still, who would it be and where would you have lunch?
Ari Emanuel. My 2 favorite cities in the world are Paris and New York. So either of those 2.
I like it. Second last question. What was 10-year-old Rex like?
Very mischievous when I was younger. I went to 3 different high schools and the like as well. So mischievous.
I like it.
Misguided.
I like it. Last question. Exciting one. Who is your favorite superhero?
My favorite superhero? I've got 2. I like Batman because I like Batman. I think everyone does. And every time there's a dress-up party, I seem to go as Batman. But also Professor Xavier from X-Men. Like to be able to control someone's mind, or it'll be a good task, a good skill.
Rex, that's rapid fire. Congratulations.
Oh, easy. Thank you.
Yeah, I told you it was easy. You're in the ring last year. You can do this easy. Some people a lot of the guests actually like freak out. They're like, oh, I don't know what my favorite color is. Like, what do you mean? It's like, I'm sure you've known what it is since primary school.
Or you can change your favorite color.
True, you can change it. I like it. The Guy Ritchie movies, though. I'm gonna might have to put another one on. I haven't watched one in a while, so I might have to.
He just did Wrath of Man. Have you seen Wrath of Man? Wrath of Man. He's got forgot his name.
Wrath of Man.
Wrath of Man. Really good movie.
As in like Rafa, the tennis player Rafa.
As in WRATH. Wrath.
Okay, got it.
That's his newest movie, and before that was Gentleman.
I like it. Rex, like I said at the start, thank you so much for making the time in your crazy busy schedule.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Always. So, like I said, podcast host on the Real Estate Renovators. You founded your own legal firm now and still operating that CEO there as well. A lot of your content has also been featured on some pretty, credible platforms like Forbes, Yahoo, New York Weekly. How did you, before I go there, hold on one second. What's been this is a question I've been asking a lot of my guests recently, last year as well. What's been the number one thing that COVID has, lockdowns and restrictions in the last 2 years, has taught you?
Importance of family and friends.
In a way of like more time with them, or just their presence?
How precious their time is. How precious the time is with your loved ones and your friends. So you kind of take it for granted, and you may skip over going out for Friday night drinks or whatever the case may be. But you need to really taking the time and enjoy those times.
Agreed. We had to spend more time with them than ever before, and it's you realize
live with them, but
live with them, and it was next level these last few years, and I like that.
It was challenging.
Absolutely, on all aspects, professionally and in our personal lives as well. From a legal standpoint, before I get into your journey, like what have you seen the impact of it being? I know there's so many different areas of like where it can impact, whether it be relationships or business or just people mentally not being stable and then going and do silly things that normally wouldn't do. Where have you seen the biggest impact through the work that you do?
Fortunately, we see it across the board. So number of family divorces and the like has gone up. Domestic violence has gone up. Business partnership breakdowns has gone up. Mergers and acquisitions has kind of decreased. People aren't as confident to go out there and buy anything, or if they're buying, they're just buying at a rock bottom pricing. So it hasn't been a pretty sight. And when you're helping your clients going through this journey, you need to be just as helpful as you can be, because everyone is suffering
in their own way. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And like pre-COVID, these things were obviously happening, like they were normal, everyday interactions, but does it make it 10 times harder when you're trying to do it via Zoom, people themselves aren't really straight down, because they've got their minds everywhere. Like they haven't lost their job, they haven't got the money, the kids aren't going to school, they're trying to homeschool, trying to work from home. Like, does that make it even harder?
It made it so much harder. And still, even to today, courts aren't open still. So we're having our court cases and our mediations on Zoom. It's all on Zoom these days. So it's still feeling the impacts, but you're not having the homeschooling. So it's hard when you're having a court case and you've got a 4-year-old running around the house or something.
And especially if it's not going in your favor, that's probably not a good time either. I like it. Rex, how did you get into the legal game? Like, what made you? Was it really Ari Gold? Like, okay, he wasn't really a lawyer, but was it
I was a lawyer. I became a lawyer well before Ari Gold. I set up my own firm because of him. I became a lawyer to rebel. So I'm a Persian background, and most of the Persians are doctors. My form of rebellion was to become a lawyer. So straight from uni over and so I was going to Monash University, did a double degree of commerce and law, and 17, 20 years later, here I am.
Never look back. Did you always want to open your own firm?
Initially, I didn't. I actually left law for a while. So I worked at various larger firms, and then I left. So the last firm I was working at was a really nice high-end boutique firm in South Yarra. Represent 3 people in the BRW Rich 100 list, which is really great exposure one-on-one with these people that do some amazing things. They shared offices in the same building for a fashion company that does designs for Sass & Bite, Seafold, some of the larger or more well-known brands around Australia. Friday night drinks. I was in my 20s, had blonde hair and blue contacts back then.
There's a blue.
There's a blue. And that turned into a job offer, and I got an Audi TT convertible at the time. It was a signing bonus, and it was an amazing gig, I suppose. International travel, Sydney, fashion shows around different places of countries as well. But it just wasn't my why. And my then partner, I found a partner, I suppose. Didn't think it was a good idea me traveling the world for these fashion shows and stuff without her. So that's when MA Legal was born.
I like it. And did you have any experience? Did you have clients that were ready to go, or did you just go like cold turkey, like I'm doing it?
I transitioned. So I did a bit more planned and strategic. So I spoke to the firm I was working at, and I knew I had annual leave accrued. And I said, look, this is what my intentions are. This is what my plan is. I still want to work and transition. So I took 1 day of annual leave a week initially and worked 1 day in the firm, 4 days at the fashion company. Day became a client as well. And then transitioned down to like 3, 2, and then to a point where...
It's very smooth.
Yeah, it was a smooth transition across. So
I like that.
Yeah, it worked out really well.
And I guess from their perspective as well, it's like good on them as well for giving you the opportunity to do that. They could have easily just said, no, you're yeah.
If you want something bad enough, you find a way.
100%. To negotiate the way through. I like it. Well, that's your role, isn't it? That's your job when you get in there. It's like, I've got to negotiate a result.
Yeah.
I like it.
A result driven to some extent.
Oh, exactly right. Exactly right. And then what from there, because the reason I want to, like, I know a lot of my listeners, they're predominantly early stage business owners. So they could be within the first 1 to 5 years of business themselves.
Yep.
And then there's also some people that are in that transitioning stage or in that process of, I've got an idea of what do I do?
Yep.
Me personally, like I sort of went cold turkey. I was like, I got this idea, I'm out. Did a little bit of a transition, maybe like 2 or 3 weeks, and then I was out.
Yep.
So what's your advice? So obviously transitioning the way you did it worked really well. Do you see both ways working? Like, I
see so many different ways. I see people doing it on the side without letting their bosses know. And that causes issues sometimes when it's a competing business to where they're working at. You gotta be mindful. You may have restraints incorporated into your employment agreement you don't know about. And then you're setting up your own side hustle. Your boss finds out you've set up this side hustle whilst working for him, and then you open yourself up to some litigation and court action. So you want to try to avoid that. So if you're going to do it, look at the restraints in your employment agreement and work around them. Just because there's a restraint there doesn't mean you have to stick to it. Restraints are difficult to enforce, so there's ways to work around it and find some gray areas to work around it. Nothing's ever black and white. Totally.
So be smart about it. But from a business and legal standpoint, yeah, follow that route. Or from what is it? What do you think it takes personally? Like the willpower, the mindset, the drive, the why, like you mentioned, to go from, I have this job that I don't really like. It pays well, but I don't really like it, to I want to do my own thing in e-com, in fashion, in sports, in whatever. Like, what do you think it takes to go from there to there?
Courage and belief in yourself. Because 9 times out of 10, people don't do it, not because the idea is not good enough or anything. They just drag their feet. They don't have the courage to take that first step. And anyone who's in business will always tell you that first step was the hardest.
100%.
And yeah, you have to do hard work, but it pays off. But a lot of businesses don't succeed because that person doesn't have the courage, or they look for the wrong partners to feel like, hey, if we do it all together, it's easier. And I see that a lot where people will jump into partnerships or let's do this business together because they feel like they're going to get support from the partners. And that's not necessarily the best way either.
That's very true. I learned that the hard way. Very lucky that we didn't actually launch. Like, we got all the way to like we're about to launch, and I was like, something doesn't feel right. Let's have a conversation. And then we didn't launch, and we saved so much money.
Because you may not have had the belief in yourself or the courage to take that step.
Totally. And like you said, it makes sense to say, let's do it together. We have fun. We're mates. We're friends. You know, you can bring this skill. I bring this skill, and we can hang out together all day.
Yeah.
But that actually sometimes as friends is not the best thing to do, because then you're not friends anymore. You know,
I think any friendship that starts in any sort of business, even if they're not friends, I can't suggest strong enough that any business, when you start off partners, make yourself your set of rule book, your own rule book that talks about everything. What if one party wants to leave? What if one party stops coming to work? How is profits distributed? What if you want to introduce a new partner? Can they set up another business? Like, you want to have your entire rule book in place. And some of those questions are a little bit, hard to swallow at the start.
Very forward.
Very forward. But if you be as open and transparent as possible at the start, you avoid misunderstandings. When people are friends, they don't get into a fight because they've changed. It's a genuine misunderstanding. Therefore, well, I'm a business owner. I don't need to work this many hours. Or
do you see it often where like there's two friends and then there's like the partners get involved, which cause
all the time? But once they have the rule book,
but that's what I'm about to totally. Yeah.
Because you know at any stance what it is.
Yeah, let's go back and
you have your rule book, it runs so fluently forward because you never have to look at it. I hope it just collects dust. You signed off on it, you know what is in on it.
Totally.
And you go, well, that's our rules. So partners can't get involved. And partners, I suggest partners get involved even in negotiation stages at sometimes. So everyone knows what the rules are.
True. There's no blind sides. There's no like 2-3 years later. It's like, oh, but I didn't know that. Yeah, fair call. I like it. Some good little knowledge there. So courage, you reckon like that's the main.
I think so. Or lack of planning, or they feel like, you know, what you said earlier, like your stars have to align.
Yeah.
I don't believe stars have to align. You can make stars align.
100%. You can open the doors.
Like to do it. So, you know, when, you know, one of your rapid fire question was, if you could do anything, what would it be if your stars align? My response was, I don't know if that's true, because I feel like you can do anything you want.
Agreed.
And you can make your stars align if you really want it.
Yeah, you can create the opportunity, so to say,
you can,
to launch that business, to have that conversation, to jump on a podcast, to whatever it may be. It is, you know what? I tend to agree that it's 100%. Why people start like businesses and they go out on their own and do their own thing when they've got a really good thing is it's 100% a mindset thing where you eliminate the doubt, eliminate the other people, go rebel against what, you know, the normal journey is. And then you want to really create your own lifestyle, your own world.
Trailblazer. You want to create your own destiny. Why have someone else? And you know, people go, you got less security being a business owner than you do as an employee. I say it's the complete opposite.
Agreed.
Because the business owner is the last person to get fired. The employees are going to get fired before you get fired yourself.
We're in 100% control of what we do.
Exactly.
Being an employee, I'm not in control of what stocks the company buy, what happens in the media, what they do, anything, what jobs they get, what jobs they don't get.
But our perception is that's security. I don't know if it is.
True.
If you plan it properly, and if we actually,
of course, you know,
plan ahead.
If you want to talk about security, look at these last 2 years. Like, unfortunately, the secure job isn't really a secure job at the moment.
Yeah.
You know,
and even some of these, like, you know, gyms and fitness studios and
100%.
Before COVID were a booming business, even coffee shops.
100%.
Now, there's all the coffee shops in the city are empty. You know,
it is scary, but and this is sort of where I wanted to go in with the, you know, we're sort of saying the city's closed and some of the restrictions that we've had to, you know, endure over these, especially here in Melbourne, obviously the most days in lockdown globally. Where does a business stand when it does come to these, you know, government enforced lockdowns, restrictions, mandates with vaccinations, like team, you know, your own employees, like what legs does a business have to stand on in this situation? I'm not saying that you should go against what they're saying or you should go for, but like, yeah, it's a really, in my experience and what I've seen, it's really interesting and crazy to see the extremes of how dedicated some businesses are and how they don't, other businesses don't really care about what's happening.
I think it's the business owners. The business owners can be either really adaptive and adapt to the changing environment around them and try to excel and go forward, or they just give up. It's a bit overwhelming for them, so they don't do much with it. They just put their hand in the sand and wait for the storm to blow over. We've seen a lot of businesses excel and make a lot more money than ever before during this period because they've adapted with the marketplace, adapted with it's a very changing, it's still a marketplace out there. People still have money and still want to spend. You know, common example, Providor. Who knew about Providor? And now it's a really booming business because it adapted, it changed with the environment. And Uber Eats has probably grown more than anything.
Well, exactly right. I remember all those memes back in 2020. It was like, it used to be lazy to order Uber Eats. Now it's like support local businesses using Uber Eats.
I don't know if it's actually supporting local business because they take a very large percentage.
Yeah, I heard it's quite. I've got a few friends who've got their restaurants and cafes on Uber Eats, and they're like, yeah, it's not really that good. No. But hey, you know, they are providing an epic service, that's for sure, and an epic platform. So what about moving forward, Rex? What do we have to look forward to as business owners, or just let's start with business and let's look at personal, like just in everyday life. from where this, I don't want to talk about COVID too much, but that's obviously in everyone's mind at the moment, where it's going, what's happening. Is there things that are coming that we should be mindful of? Is there, ways, not ways to get around it, but ways to prepare and like be flexible and be adaptive early and catch on to it so you can be ready?
Any business and look, businesses vary from distribution to service providers to, hospitality, gyms, whatever the case may be. I personally don't think we're going to go into another lockdown. You've seen what's happened around the world over winter. Yeah. And it's an election year for both federal and state. I can't picture anyone putting anyone into lockdowns in an election year. So I think we'll be safe. But I do think there'll be, supply is going to be an issue. There's going to be issues that we're going to still see moving forward. Who knows what a different chain may come of that could put us back into some sort of more restrictions. I don't believe full lockdowns, personally anyway. Yeah, and I think any business can adapt with it and can pre-plan. So if you're a supply business and you're supplying goods, you can put, provisions in your agreements, your new agreements moving forward that provides for that, if there's a situation like this, supply will be delayed. Or prices may vary. Most of these things can be contracted through. Employees, you can put provisions in there that your employment may be suspended, or we might have to work remotely, reduced hours, whatever the case may be. I think you should be a bit more proactive and be thinking ahead. And every business has its own risk points. And of course, and look at your risk points. And you probably know better than anyone else what your risk points in your business are. You felt them for the last 2 years. 100%. Instead of just going, hey, I'm just going to move forward and be exactly the same and hope it doesn't happen, I think you should be a bit more proactive about it. If you've got a coffee shop, before you sign your renewal of lease, go, by the way, I want new clauses in my lease.
Absolutely.
To cover if we go for another lockdown. I know we've got government reliefs and the like from but they still have to pay it back at some stage.
Of course. Yeah.
So those rent reliefs are great, but they're more band-aids and they're going to come to an end at some stage.
Totally.
So I feel like if I was, and I speak to business owners all the time, find what your touch points are and try to plan ahead for it.
How often can you add revisions to agreements? Is that like, can you do it whenever, or do you have to give notice?
It depends on the individual agreement. Normally, most agreements, for example, a lease or something like that, has a term. So, and you exercise the term and you renew it, and you can then try and negotiate debt. You can also talk to landlords, especially now coming out of COVID. Most people are friendly, so they can negotiate something. With supply agreements, next time you supply someone saying our terms and conditions have changed, this is our new terms and conditions. With employees, you can negotiate at any stage. Whether you get over it or not is a different story. Yeah, I think most of the time you will, except for landlords of likely to be the trickiest ones.
Yeah, a bit hard.
Because they've got you fixed on the lease.
Yeah, okay. So really with team members, that was my next sort of question, especially coming now into we're opening up, there is that small chance of some restrictions, maybe not a lockdown, because I agree, I don't think we'll have lockdowns, but they might have some restrictions here and there. Hopefully not, touch wood.
Hopefully not.
But when it does come to that, should really business owners like now be thinking, shit, worst case scenario, we have some restrictions. What do I need to be telling my team today? What do I need to be telling my suppliers today, my customers?
And start putting those mechanisms in place today before it comes up tomorrow. And then you try and negotiate something when people are not going to agree to it.
Correct. When in the heat of it, which is probably the worst time to try and do it. Yeah.
And no one's going to do anything in the heat of it. Leading up to it, you can probably get away with negotiating something favorable now, and everyone's happy. And it's pre-planning.
Exactly right.
And you're ready for it.
Exactly right. We did it with so we opened the paint and sip studio last year, like this time last year. And the first thing I said, new clause, it has to be a COVID clause. And I'm so grateful we did that, because obviously we spent so much time in lockdown last year. And we had those provisions and those clauses in there to protect us. Because I knew that, I think we'll probably a lot more confident now because everyone's double vaxxed and it's all happening. But last year, I'm like, we'll probably have lockdowns, but I don't think anyone expected it to be that long.
No one expected that much. No.
A couple
and now
here
it's like by 15th of March, I think you have to be triple vaxxed to go into schools.
I saw that today. I saw that today pop up. It's like,
but see, travel might be triple vaxxed.
So now is the time. Don't wait till the 14th of March to say, hey, oh shit, half my team aren't triple vaxxed. What are we going to do? It's like, well, get on the forefront now. Like make those
forefront of everything. You know what the touch points, what the hurt points of your business are. You know, like you just said about your new premises. You want a COVID clause in it. You're proactive about it, not reactive afterwards.
Absolutely.
And you got it in there, it probably helped a lot.
And because we signed the lease like this time last year. So this time last year, everyone's like, oh, COVID's gone. Amazing. It's going to be great. So everyone's like, oh yeah, whatever clause you want, we'll sign off on it. And I was, again, so happy that we,
and if you had requested that whilst during COVID, you would have got away from it.
In the middle of lockdown, it's like, hey, you know what? Can we get a rent relief during lockdown? Right now? No chance. All right, cool. Moving forward into your sort of where you guys are going with MA Legal and the visions that you have, is it growing? Is it staying the way it is, just really servicing, delivering more value, interstate, international? Like, where do you see it going for you?
Several businesses happening at the same time. So at the start of the year, I set my certain goals in place. So I've got several new businesses that I'll be working on this year. And with MA Legal, there'll be some stuff announced 1st of April. There'll be a soft launch of something for MA Legal on 1st of April, and the 1st of July will be a proper launch of something else with MA Legal. We'll be trying to revolutionize and digitalize a lot of the processes for law firms.
Love that.
Because no other firm, I believe, has gone to that full 100% digital. You can still have the normal service, but you can get a completely digital service as well, which is hopefully will be revolutionary.
Groundbreaking. I like it. We touched on earlier, and even before we went live, you were talking about like those goals every year you set for personal and in business and then career. And this year, obviously, you decided to do the bodybuilding competition you mentioned.
Yeah.
Why bodybuilding?
I've done everything else, so I'm running out of stuff to do. So last year's personal goal was to have a professional boxing fight. Year before was to go around a motorcycle track we'll go around a track on a motorcycle. So every year is like something different. And this year, I think it was more of a dare. Someone said, bodybuilding is really difficult. I got, a meathead friend who's also a lawyer. He goes, bodybuilding is really difficult. And you can do boxing. I'm not sure if you can do bodybuilding. It's like, well, my view on that is watch me. So
now you got even more drive and even more motivation. You said I couldn't do it. Now I'm definitely going to do it.
Pretty much. So training 7 days a week at the moment at the club called Cremorne Club. Awesome studio in Cremorne. Got a phenomenal trainer who's really helped me do my whole meals, everything for me at the moment. So
you'll crush it.
The journey has started October.
You know what the fun part is, which I didn't even think about in the lead up, which you maybe have thought about because you've got some good people around you, is the posing.
I'm going to go to posing.
You've got to go to a posing coach. You've got to do you got to practice. You've got to have a routine. Have they spoken to you about that yet?
Yeah, 100%. I'll be starting that mid-year, so like 3 or 4 months out.
Totally. It's so much fun though. It's like
they've got workshops happening. With
all the time. It's a big thing, like because you lose points if you don't get the techniques right from a posing standpoint.
Yeah. Okay. And then,
that's what I didn't even think about it until I got there, and I was like, I gotta do posing. I was like, shit. So now it was like every week, twice a week doing practice, and then every night practicing at home. Like everyone was like, what are you doing, Jamie? Like, why are you standing weirdly like that? And why are you dancing like that? I'm like, well, you'll see in a couple months why I'm doing that. But yeah, definitely keep it in mind. Back to the business side of things, I've got a few more questions there because I want the listeners to be able to, because obviously you've definitely built a name in the industry. You're obviously doing something right. So you've built a name. You're obviously working with some quite large clients, like you mentioned.
We represent everyone. We represent literally ASX entities to small startups, anything between. My view is, honestly, generally, I do what I do not for the money. Law does pay well, but some of the other stuff I do, I've got a mortgage fund and other businesses as well. They pay actually better. But law gives you a reward that nothing else does. You help people. You genuinely help people through a situation, whether good or bad. And that is the most rewarding. And you're blessed enough to be entrusted with someone's journey or part of their journey. And that's why I do what I do. It generally is. And I would never probably stop doing what I do. A few of your past guests are actually clients of mine.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of you got two that I know off the top of
There
my
you
head.
go. See, like we said at
Yeah.
the start, somehow everyone knows everyone, especially these days.
It's
But I'm
true.
sure they had an incredible experience with you. And anyone obviously listening right now that is starting up or, you know, midway through their journey of business and has some, I think we always need, I think you, as a business owner, that should be part of your top 5 phone calls. Like everyone's got an accountant. But I don't think people think like I need like a lawyer that I have a relationship with. Like, do you see that as something really important?
I think the right advisor is really important. I've got an accounting degree as well, so I understand accounting
Both
quite
sides.
well, and probably better than, unfortunately, some accountants, because tax accountants don't set up the structures right at the start for capital. So the first thing you should do is, why are you setting up the business? What's your end goal? So then you can plan. So, you know, a lot of things that I talk to with my clients is, what's your destination so I can get you there? So, you know, if you jump in your car, if you don't have a destination, you're going to drive around in circles. If you have a destination, the more clear your destination is, you'll get there quicker. So sitting down with an advisor sometimes helps you, guide you, and to pinpoint what your destination is and what you can and can't get away with. And someone that's got broad skill set to know what you can and can't get away from a tax point of view, legal, etc.
Very true.
And the experience of done it themselves or seen multiple people do it themselves. It's very true. I think it's important.
Agreed.
You know, and it doesn't have to cost you. I'm happy to offer any of your viewers, just mention your name. The initial consultation, for as long as it goes for, will be complimentary, no obligation, 100% confidential. We can sit down and go, all right, watch it, and go through that, what they need to do. And most of the stuff that people need to do, I feel like they can do themselves. So in my opinion, no one should do any business by themselves in their own names as sole traders.
100%.
Exposure.
100%.
Going to get sued. But most people go, oh, I don't want to set up a company. I don't have the funds yet. I don't want to take money to set up a company. You jump on an ASIC website, asic.gov.au, look up at Form 201, complete it, and you've got yourself a company.
Totally.
And that's a separate legal entity that you can't get sued anymore. It gives you a level of asset protection.
Totally.
You know, something as simple as that could really have,
for the sake of what, $700, $800, you're
$500.
There you
400, go. Yeah, I think actually it's just gone up to 512.
Yeah,
if
there you
you
go.
do it straight online yourself, and it's online.
Yeah,
and
easy.
No one knows those questions. It's like, what's your full name and date of birth? You don't know those questions.
You need a lawyer to help you with that.
Yeah,
totally.
You don't be in business.
Yeah, totally. I like it. But that's it. Like those little things there is what the advice that you normally wouldn't get. It's like, oh, no. If we're going to do it, like, you know, let me take care of it and I'll do it properly for you. It's like,
and they charge you, you know, $7,000-8,000 or more sometimes.
Totally.
For literally, it takes 5 minutes online, which you can do yourself.
Totally. See, again, so if you're listening or watching, you're already getting a taste of why, you know, it's important to have not just advisors, but I think like good advisors. And it is hard to find.
They're there to care for you.
True. And advise. They're there to advise. Yeah.
Yeah. The advisors shouldn't be on, hey, you need to set up a company. Let me do it for you when you can do it yourself. Totally. If you give the options to the client still wants you to do it. Go ahead, no issue.
Totally. But they're probably more inclined to say, hey, Rex, you just do it because, you know, because you've been upfront about it. It's like, I haven't got time to do it. You just take care of it. All good. It's
not that I don't have time. It's why spend the extra money?
Yeah, well, that's true.
Especially for a startup business, sometimes why spend the extra money?
Well, like if it's $500 online and they're going to charge you $800, you know, $300 in your pocket could be marketing, could be anything, you know,
your business cards, your anything.
Some flyers. Exactly right.
Yeah.
I like it. From a last question around the business standpoint and legal, what do people need to know? What does a business owner, someone getting into business, really need to consider from a legal standpoint from here on, understanding what COVID is, understanding what the next 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, 15 years, I know we don't know what exactly is going to be happening then, but what can they be thinking about in structures, in getting through the day-to-day, from what you've seen, from what you work on, from who you work with? What do they really need to be? I need to get these eggs in a row.
Tough question, because every business is slightly different. I would, it's, you know, broad things that every business owner should cover. One is having the right structure in place so you don't get sued, or if you sell, you're not paying way too much tax, and you've got some form of asset protection. So, you know, whatever you've saved up or raised, it can't be taken. From a branding point of view, you want to make sure you've got, you're building your own brand, protect it. Lodge a trademark. Jump on ipaustralia.gov.au. It costs $250. It's a pretty straightforward process. Anyone could do it. Trademark your brand. Make sure it's protected so no one else can steal it, use it. It belongs to you. From a business valuation point of view, when we see business get valued all the time, businesses that are valued higher to create wealth, so if you've got your own business, if you don't have the lease to those premises and any right to the branding, what's it worth? If you've got lease to the premises, you've got the right to the branding, and if you go further and have fixed contracts with people that they'll have to, like certain suppliers have to use you or whatever the case may be, it's worth more. Simple example would be a distribution business. If you're importing something and distributing it, for example, a wholesaler, if you've got exclusive rights to that product you're importing and no one else can import it, that's worth a lot more than you just import. And sometimes asking that question and saying, I want exclusivity, people don't know what to do. They don't ask the question, they don't get it. And most of the time you will get it. You just got to ask it in the right way. If they say no, okay, what do I need to do? What sort of KPIs, minimum purchases? And that adds value to your business, because if you go to sell it, the buyer's going to come and go, okay, you've got a lease, you've got the protections, you've got this product no one else can do. It's your product, you've got the exclusivity to it. And that's just pinpoint to one industry or one business, but every business has these kind of things they can work on.
Core foundations.
Really, they do. Personnel and people is so important to any business, and making sure you got restraints, enforceable restraints on your employees. I think it's really important, because your employees are the face of your business most of the time. Depends on various businesses, but service businesses and if they can go ahead and steal all your clients tomorrow and take it, what's your business worth?
That's not a good.
And when it comes to employment, everyone says, oh, they're not enforceable, you can't enforce restraints. That's true, you can't. The court takes the view that, hey, you can't stop someone earning an income, because if they can't work in their chosen profession, they're going to go social welfare benefit. That's against public policy. But you can put restraints to protect the employer. So not saying you can't be a lawyer for 5 years, they'll never stand up.
Totally.
But you can't contact my clients for 3 years. You can be a lawyer, you can go set up next door. Just don't contact or do any work with my clients, or clients that you've had exposure to. That's a different type of restraint.
Can you set a time limit on something like that? Can you say, hey, don't contact my clients for 20 years or forever?
You can't do forever. It's got to be a reasonable restraint. You can't have cascading. So if forever is not enforceable, 20 years, if 20 years is not enforceable, for 15 years, have a cascading clause in there. And most important, what most business owners don't do, or they don't do properly, what I've seen a lot, is they don't have a damages provision, an agreed kind of damages provision, where, if you're my employee and you left and I've said, don't contact my customers, you go on ahead and contact my customers and I'll sue you, I'll go to court, go before a judge, hey, Jamie's done the wrong thing. Just going to go, yeah, Jamie, you've done the wrong thing. Rex, what's the damage to your business? Here's some experts, and it becomes this mess to prove what it is. But if we've gone ahead and for every customer you take, you got to give me X dollars. I can say, well, Jamie's done the wrong thing, and here's the damages. He agreed to pay me at the start if he did.
Correct.
Makes my life so much easier.
And it's like less cost for you as well to go through all that process and less headaches.
And when you as the employee, whoever your employee is leaving, they look at that. Or if they go to a lawyer, they're going to go, this is enforceable against you. Totally. Are things like that, going back to what we said earlier, like those provisions in the agreements, can they be added today to someone's a contract, like employment contract? Yep. Any agreement can be modified by agreement, like if the other side agrees. So it's not hard to get employers and explain to them why it's protection for the whole business. Of course. If someone's saying, no, I don't want to do that, it's going to start ringing alarm bells. Why? Why? True. If you don't intend to do it. That's answered the questions. Correct. That's already answered your question as to why. Yeah, definitely. Okay. The last few questions for me, Rex. This has been great. I've written down heaps of stuff here, even just some good little takeaways for myself.
in what we do. But I'm sure the people out there as well listening and watching. And, firstly as well, thank you so much for, giving that consult for free for anyone that listens and watches.
Honestly, I genuinely mean it when I say I want to help people.
Agreed.
It's the most rewarding
Agreed.
thing.
I like that. And again, like you said, if you can help them at the start, when it really, sometimes like if it's a startup, funds are tight, knowledge may not be as expansive at the time. If you can really help them at that time in their most maybe vulnerable, so to say, I don't know if that's the right word, but they're really going to remember that. And they will most likely want to work with you and use you and refer you because you were there.
And this is how we've grown. If you speak to, I'm not saying from an arrogant point of view, but some of my clients, speak to them about us. I'm sure I'm pretty confident they'll all say positive things.
Totally.
We have this relationship for life. It's not about
100%.
a transaction. And it's not just at the start, it's even when they're looking to expand and bring on partners or acquire something to, when is the right time to grow?
Totally.
When is the right time to take that next step? There's a lot of, in any business, there's a lot of different things you can look at, and it may not be the right time.
This is why it's good to have the right people around you when it comes to advisors in your team. One last couple questions from me. I want to know, and I picked up on it throughout our conversation just here, and even in our messages back and forth, like very, very appreciative, very, grateful, very, you just like, yep, this works, happy to jump on, this time's good. Huge appreciation for me, like I said at the start again, for making the time to do it.
Thank you.
But where does that mindset come from? Like, how did you develop that? How do you maintain that? How do you, and again, what was the word, some of your mindset in one word was growth. How do you develop and continue to grow? How do you daily look at ways to be better?
I do look at ways to be better, not about daily, but literally I do set myself goals and I revisit my goals on a very continuous basis. And I'm fortunate enough to have seen great people, and like everyone, I feel like you can learn something from everyone. Even yourself, I'm probably learning some stuff from you myself. So, you can take something from everyone and implement it to your own life. It's a journey.
Absolutely. How do you, though, continue to still at the point where you've obviously achieved a level of success, you're still growing businesses, you're still building businesses.
But what's the definition of success?
Well, well, that's, subjective to the individual, whatever it means to the individual. What does it mean to that one person getting into business or getting into life, doing the bodybuilding comp? That's a success. When you achieve it.
These achievements and these goals and these challenges help me
totally
get up and want to bounce out of bed, because I never take the view that I've succeeded or I've got to the position you are. What you drive or where you live or what's in your bank account doesn't define success. It's what you give. Honestly, generally, it's what you give back, and what personal achievements you do, to me, means a lot more than how many zeros are in my bank account or anyone's bank account. I have more respect for the person who gets up and just has a challenge or something they want to accomplish, and they do it.
And they make it happen. And they get through it.
And they make it happen.
Because we know it, like, it's not easy to get through these challenging times. So you can respect someone who is trying and turning up and waking up and going to the exercise or reading, or it's like, you got to respect that, because we understand how hard that actually is. Exactly. I like it. Success is more what you give back. I reckon that might be the podcast title right there.
It's true though. What you give back
100%.
is your sweat. What does The Rock have on all his blood, sweat, and respect?
He's another one like Shaq, just everywhere. And doing really well.
But Ari Emanuel, which is Ari Gold in real life, is his manager.
Really? Maybe that's why he's everywhere. I like it. Last question from me. What are your top 3 habits?
Top 3 habits. Good one. It varies every year. So it depends on what I've got in terms of my challenges at the moment. Last year boxing was number one. I boxed twice a day. At the moment, I'm just training and eating a lot in my habits. And I know it sounds cliche, but looking for ways to give back is in terms of my teams, my clients, looking for ways to help where I can. I think it's honestly genuinely the most rewarding. Everything else, isn't the same.
Okay. What about from a like, do you try and read every day or listen to a podcast or sort of educate daily? Do you like you said, exercise most days? Is there?
I exercise every day. I don't unfortunately read. I read a lot for work, so I don't read much for things. I do a lot of time shifting. Is big with my time management because I've got various business interests and the like, and I've got a daughter. I'm a single dad. Her mum and I, great. She's a great mum as well. Just went up together, so I have to pick her up from school 2 days a week, and I've got her a day to week. So when you operate a few businesses, and you got to go leave it
and family time too.
Yeah, and I think it's important to. That's valuable, and if you don't have it in your diary, you won't do it.
Totally.
If it's in your diary, you got to do it.
It'll
and
happen.
You don't schedule anyone else around that time to be able to go do that. And people go, oh, how do you leave your office to go pick up your daughter twice a day? Well, you do, because you just make up the time later.
100%.
She goes to bed early or whatever the case may be, and just make up the time. It's time shifting.
Totally.
Instead of staying at work and then getting home when she's asleep or whatever the case may be, I think value shifting and that time shifting is so important in any, especially parents' life, that, your kids are only young once. You're going to regret not doing it.
Isn't that like the most common thing you hear from every parent? It's like, I wish I spent more time with my kids when they were young. Like, isn't that like the most common thing?
They do. And they don't do anything to change that, though.
Totally.
And I feel like time shifting, especially in a post-COVID world where you can do stuff outside the office. And if I can do whatever I do and still manage to do it, pretty sure a lot of people can.
Anyone can.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that time shifting.
It's
about getting your values right. Yeah, it's about getting your values in alignment as well. And I understand, like, the time with my daughter is priority on the Tuesday, Thursday, whatever it is.
Yeah, it is. Actually, it's Tuesday, Thursday.
Oh, there you go. Well, on the Tuesday, that's happening. And then, I'll stay up a bit later. And I think, again, that's one of the other, when it comes to security, is working for yourself. You have the flexibility to do that. If you have a job and
implement that with some of my staff. So my teams have that flexibility now as well. And I think if anyone goes to their boss with a plan saying, look, 2 days a week, I want to go pick up my child, I'll make up the time afterwards. I promise you, I'll give you time sheets, whatever the case, I'll log in. I'll show you what I've done those after hours. I didn't just blow 2 hours.
Just disappear.
Most employers will accommodate that. And if they don't, it's an employer's market. Find a new job.
Straight out. If they don't accept it, just find a new job. I like it.
It's more important, because if you lose your job tomorrow, they'll replace you.
100%. And if you lose your job tomorrow, the day after, you can probably start somewhere else. Like you said,
exactly.
There's opportunities everywhere. Rex, this has been great. I really appreciate the insight, even just outside of the legal side of things as well, just into the like how you operate, and I guess, like you said, dealing with so many business owners and then being one yourself and across multiple different industries, understanding it so well. I think there's some really, I didn't know that you had the accounting background as well. So it definitely does tie it in really well for, I guess, like I said, you even mentioned there, anyone that's listening or watching, I would definitely recommend sitting down and having that consult.
Complimentary, no obligation, 100%.
Even if you're set up, like, I think it's a great conversation to have. It's like, okay, cool, well, you're set up, amazing. Like, how do we make this better?
When do we take that next step? Or how can we fix those little things to prepare yourself for that next COVID environment? And
touch wood. Hopefully we don't ever touch wood have a COVID-like in our lifetime.
Never. Hopefully not.
Ever again. But I really appreciate your time, Rex. Thank you so much.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you.
One last thing, where do people find you? Social media, where is it?
Rex
Websites?
Afrasiabi _lawyer, I think my Instagram.
I think it is.
I'm not even sure.
I'll put it in the show notes. I'll make sure it's there for everyone. And website,
malegal.com.au.
Easy.
I'm the aid MA Legal.
Got it. I like it. Rex, I really appreciate it. I look forward to catching up soon. All the best with everything coming out in the future as well. And enjoy the rest of your afternoon, and everyone out there, we'll catch you on the next episode. Bye for now.